Scottish voters might be familiar with filling in ballot papers, but that doesn't make decisions any easier. If anything, the landscape is more complex than ever. Scotland voted strongly to stay in the EU. The SNP leader's message is to reassure Remainers.
In the next Parliament, I think there's a real danger if there is no check on the Tory government, if there is nobody in there holding it to account, making sure that the approach to Brexit is not a reckless one. And that's one of the many reasons why I want to see SNP MPs in there standing up for Scotland.
She's made no secret of the fact that will mean another independence referendum. After years in the political wilderness here, the Tories are enjoying something of a revival and say only they can fight for the union.
There's an awful lot of people in Scotland who want to fight back against the SNP, and we as the Scottish Conservatives are the only party in huge swathes of the country that are strong enough to do that. We saw that from last week's local government elections, we saw it from last year's Scottish parliamentary elections.
Polls suggest the appetite for another referendum is waning, but there's no doubt the Constitution is dominating the election conversation.
Didn't want to leave the European Union, and I don't think Westminster listens to people in Scotland.
There's been so many referendums talk of independence. For me, I'd rather just move on now, maybe deal with it in another 20 years.
Some grumble the debate means other matters are being ignored.
I think is overshadowing the other things that are very important in this country and the whole of Great Britain.
And what are those other issues for you?
The other issue is education, the health service, and obviously low wages.
All traditional Labour ground, they're trying to broaden the discussion.
What Labour is saying very clearly in this election campaign is that you can oppose independence by voting Labour, but you can also vote for progressive party that believes in raising living standards. You get both of those things with one vote for Labour on the 8th of June.
But the fact is, Labour are now a distant third in the polls, and the Lib Dems and Greens are struggling to be heard. Many voters I've spoken to are confused. They might be anti-independence but feel uncomfortable voting Tory, or perhaps a traditional SNP voter who is also pro-Brexit. There are tough choices to make. But experts are predicting a good turnout.
The vote for the local council elections last week actually held up surprisingly strongly, and there wasn't that much evidence of voter fatigue, I think, in that particular contest. So if anything, the polarisation over the constitutional issue I would expect to mobilise voters.
There's plenty to think about and less than 4 weeks to do it. Tessa Chapman, 5 News, Edinburgh.